The Fire Whisperers, Australia's ancient flamekeepers. Victor Stephenson knelt to examine the ground cover, his weathered hands brushing aside dry leaves. Around him, a group of young Aboriginal rangers watched intently, some recording his movements on tablets. "See how the leaf litter is building up?" Victor said. 4 inches thick in some areas. Country needs to breathe." They stood in a eucalyptus forest in far north Queensland that hadn't seen fire in nearly 2 decades. Government fire policy had long focused on suppression, preventing all burns. But after catastrophic wildfires devastated Australia in 2019-2020, burning over 46 million acres and killing an estimated billion animals, traditional Aboriginal fire management was receiving unprecedented attention. "My people been burning this way for over 60,000 years, explained Victor, a descendant of the Tagalaka people. "Not random burning, reading the land, knowing when each plant needs fire, when animals have finished breeding. It's like the land talks to you, tells you when it's ready." Dr. Leah Davidson, an ecologist who had spent a decade studying wildfire patterns, stood slightly apart from the group. 6 months earlier, she had been a skeptic, viewing indigenous cultural burning as interesting but anecdotal. "What changed my mind was the data," she would later tell colleagues. Areas managed with cultural burns showed 80% reduction in catastrophic fire risk. The biodiversity metrics were off the charts compared to conventional hazard reduction burns. The practice Victor demonstrated was deceptively simple yet profoundly complex. Small, controlled, cool fires were lit according to seasonal indicators and specific vegetation types. These gentle burns cleared undergrowth while leaving canopy intact, creating a mosaic pattern across the landscape that prevented the massive fuel buildup that fed megafires. "Western science thinks about fire as a destructive force," Victor explained as they walked. "For us, it's a creative one. Fire is a tool that shapes country, that helps it regenerate." He stopped beside a grass tree. "This one only flowers properly after fire. Seeds need that smoke to germinate. Without regular burning, they slowly disappear." Later that afternoon, Victor conducted a demonstration burn. The fire moved slowly, flames rarely exceeding knee-height. It crept through the understory, leaving behind a clean, black carpet. Remarkably, even as the fire passed around a fallen log, small skinks and insects emerged unharmed from crevices underneath. "Cool fire doesn't cook the soil or kill the microbes," Victor explained. "Hot wildfire sterilizes everything, but this is like medicine for country." The transfer of this knowledge hadn't been straightforward. Much had been lost during colonization, when Aboriginal people were removed from their ancestral lands and prevented from practicing cultural burning. Government policies criminalized traditional fire management, leading to the dangerous fuel loads that fed modern megafires. Victor had spent 3 decades working to revive these practices, learning from elders across Australia before most scientists showed interest. Now, finally, the tide was turning. As the afternoon progressed, the controlled burn achieved exactly what Victor had predicted. Areas with excessive fuel loads were cleared, while fire-sensitive plants remained untouched through careful management of intensity and direction. Most striking was the response from wildlife. Rather than fleeing in panic as they did from wildfires, birds swooped into the recently burned areas to feed on exposed seeds and insects. Kangaroos grazed at the fire's edge, benefiting from the mineral-rich ash that would soon fertilize new growth. "This isn't just about preventing disasters," Victor said as they watched the last wisps of smoke dissipate. "It's about healing. The land needs fire the right way, just like it needs rain the right way." 6 months later, the results spoke for themselves. New growth emerged vigorously in the burned areas. Wildflowers that hadn't been seen in years bloomed in abundance. Monitoring stations recorded increased activity from native wildlife. What had begun as a small demonstration project expanded to cover thousands of hectares managed under Indigenous leadership. Government agencies formed partnerships with Aboriginal ranger groups, combining traditional knowledge with modern technology like drones and satellite mapping. Victor took particular pride in the rangers he'd trained. Young Indigenous people reconnecting with cultural practices while finding meaningful employment protecting their country. "Fire isn't something to fear," he would often tell visitors. "It's something to understand. When you learn to speak its language, it becomes your greatest ally in caring for country." As Australia faced a changing climate with increasing fire danger, this ancient knowledge, nearly lost but now being revived, offered a pathway forward that neither pure conservation nor conventional fire management had achieved alone. The land responded, as it always had, to those who listened closely enough to hear what it needed. This is our world. Subscribe for more fascinating stories from around the globe.